Tesla targets, the new FBI investigation into vandalized Tesla vehicles and Tesla charging stations, and the rising number of cases here in the Triangle.
Coverage crisis. A dark cloud is looming over more than 600,000 people in the state, unsure if they'll be insured any longer by Medicaid.
Don't put away your umbrella yet. We have 2 more chances for rain. Then, when chilly mornings give way to 80 degrees.
So what is going on with these attacks on Teslas? Just in the last couple of days in Wake County, someone carved Nazi into the side of one car. Someone else shot a window in another Tesla vehicle. Across the country, we have seen cars and charging stations set on fire. We've seen protests at dealerships, including here in our area. When you take all of this together, it sure seems like there is a target on Teslas. Thanks for being with us here at 7 o'clock. I'm Dan Haggerty.
And I'm Ashley Rowe. You know, the FBI is now involved in all of this. They put out an alert acknowledging the threats, the vandalism, and attacks. WRAL's Aaron Thomas is live outside a charging station in Raleigh. Aaron, you spoke to the person whose window was shot out.
We did, and he told us point blank, Ashley, he said that he hates that this car is unfortunately tied to political affiliation. Now, as we mentioned, it's not just the cars that are being targeted, but it's also these charging stations as well as Tesla dealerships that have the vehicles all there in one particular line. This evening we had a chance to speak with Jesse Martinez at his home, and he said that he purchased his Tesla S last year because he had a good deal on it. Now, he says that it was not because of who was in office at the time. Investigators say that someone shot his driver's side window with a BB gun on a road in Zebulon late last night. Now, Martinez says that he and his wife have considered selling their car, considering how the brand is tied to politics.
We have a family, we got kids, so who knows if that would have gone through and I was driving with my kids, or it would have hit my buddy or something. So definitely something dangerous and definitely something to consider for sure moving forward.
Now, this incident comes after another WRAL viewer shared with us that his car was actually targeted. Someone scribbled the words Nazi on it, and this happened over in the southern Wake County area. Wake County Sheriff's Office, they told us that there's no indication that Martinez, that his car was targeted because he was driving a Tesla, but he says, based on what we're seeing with the political climate, he says otherwise.
Well, you got to feel for him that he's got to make these tough decisions, thinking about his family during this time. We mentioned that the FBI acknowledges that this is happening. Do you know, are they doing anything about it?
So we actually just learned in the past 3 hours that the FBI has launched a task force targeting some of these threats. They're aware of what's going on nationwide. The FBI director, Kash Patel, also posting online on X saying that this is a form of domestic terrorism, and anyone caught doing this will be brought to justice. It's also a warning for any Tesla drivers out there, reminding them to be vigilant at this time.
Yeah, they need to be. Okay, Aaron, thank you.
So here we are just a few days into spring, and the weather sure is acting like it. We've been on and off with rain all day today. Kat Campbell joining us now. These showers could linger into the night tonight as well, Kat.
Absolutely. Don't put away your umbrella just yet. If we switch to Weather 3, I want to show you kind of what we expect as we head into tonight. The cold front itself has not yet passed through our area, and that's why we still have some showers that are developing. And these showers are developing right over parts of Siler City has seen some of the rain, and Pittsburgh is about to see quite a bit of the rain in Chatham County. And this is going to eventually push east into Wake County tonight. It's a very thin band of rain compared to the rain that we had earlier today. It was a lot thicker of a band on the radar. However, there are still some showers that are expected throughout the evening, and these could last until about 10 or 11 o'clock tonight. It's not likely to be severe weather. We're not likely to see thunderstorms with this round, but we're not done with the rain yet. I'll explain why you want your umbrella again tomorrow, coming up.
All right, thank you, Kat. So if you're just getting to the news tonight, we want to get you caught up. Here are the 5 things you should know right now. There was a vape shop down the street from a middle school that's been busted for selling to middle schoolers. The owner of Butner Tobacco and Vape is facing several felony charges tonight. Investigators accusing 36-year-old Abdugani Abdo Mohammed Ashmali for selling THC vapes and THC cartridges to students from Butner STEM Middle School. A child shot at a Fayetteville carnival over the weekend is in critical condition at the hospital. Happened Saturday night right off Cliffdale Road. Detectives need help to identify a suspect here, and also any information, videos, photos, anything like that from that night. They can be submitted anonymously through Crime Stoppers. There are evacuation orders in place in western North Carolina as these wildfires continue to burn. They've burned thousands of acres. Crews from Orange County are going in to help now. In Polk County, the Black Cove Fire and Deep Woods Fire have each burned more than 2,000 acres. They're 0% contained, so a lot of work to be done. Steep terrain and damage from Helene are hampering those firefighting efforts.
Wake County Schools unveiled a new plan for a district-wide cell phone policy. They propose students might have to turn off their cell phones or put them in airplane mode throughout the school day. High school principals and administration could allow students to use phones during breaks and transitions. The district does not suggest a uniform way to enforce the rules. Board members will discuss it starting tomorrow, and then a final vote would happen in May. And Marble's Kids Museum is $500,000 away from funding a two-story expansion. The museum has launched the public phase of its first capital campaign to meet the goal. The campaign will support the additional 3,000 square foot expansion, which includes a new exhibit, a classroom, and a rooftop playscape. Marbles has already raised more than $8.5 million for this project.
And this is Brian Schrader. All new at 7 o'clock here in the WRAL Live Center. A bill filed in the state Senate today would take a page from the Trump administration and create a DOJ-like office in state government. That is State Auditor Dave Bullock, and Senate Bill 474 is named the DAVE Act, and that would create a division of accountability, value, and efficiency in the state auditor's office. And Bullock would be tasked with producing a report by the end of the year about which state agencies and positions could be eliminated. You can read all about this on WRAL.com and in the WRAL News app.
An interesting development about state cuts. Let's talk a little bit about federal government cuts for a moment. Today marks 15 years since the Affordable Care Act was passed. A U.S. House proposal calls for cuts to the program by $800 billion. It's just a proposal, nothing official at this point. Should the proposal become reality, WRAL's Sean Gallagher shows us what could be at risk.
It took years to expand Medicaid coverage in the state of North Carolina, but if these proposed federal budget cuts go through, it could dismantle it in less than 2. Shaping metal into something beautiful?
This is a piece that I made.
Difficult, but not impossible. Something that's defined Jennifer Snow White's life.
My diagnosis, it was over 1 in, I think, 5 million.
Within months, she was cancer-free, overcoming the odds, thanks to the Affordable Care Act expansion.
We made enough money to keep us ineligible for Medicaid, but not enough money to pay for private health insurance.
But a storybook ending like Snow White's could be a thing of the past.
Congress is proposing massive cuts that will hurt North Carolina.
North Carolina Medicaid Deputy Secretary Jay Ludlam celebrated the 15th anniversary of the ACA Monday, with the looming threat of coverage ending for more than 640,000 people in the state. A proposed House budget to cut $880 billion in costs through 2034 could impact Medicaid funding in the state. Senator Tom Tillis tells WRAL while looking at ways to improve Medicaid, he believes any proposals should be focused on addressing fraud, waste and abuse, eliminating administrative burdens, and improving the delivery of care.
I am concerned. I think it's a real possibility, but I don't know that it's a probability.
In 2023, North Carolina lawmakers agreed to expand Medicaid to people making up to 138% of the federal poverty level, as long as the feds paid 90% of the costs. If it goes below that, coverage for more than 640,000 could be lost. And Ludlam says there's no safety net.
Local legislators have expressed really no option other than what we have currently. So there is no plan, no backup plan by local legislators to move forward with something other than expansion, as it is.
Which could leave people in need of life-saving care.
I am so incredibly lucky.
Crossing their fingers for a cure. In Raleigh, Sean Gallagher, WRAL News.
So you heard in Sean's reporting from the North Carolina Medicaid Deputy Secretary Jay Ludlam. He suggests people contact their local lawmakers to share their stories of how important Medicaid has been for them.
Look, big cuts at the federal level, they're not anything new. In fact, Bill Clinton, a Democrat, did make huge cuts back in the 90s. So how do his policies of 30 years ago compare to what we are seeing today? We're going to go in depth after the break. It is a new week, and it's going to be a really busy week for In Depth. We have a few big segments coming. Cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, the state pension plan, and how North Carolina invests your tax dollars. Remember, this segment is fueled by your feedback. We got a lot of questions on those topics. You can send emails to dan@WRAL.com. Let us know, what is the news missing? What should we be talking about? What do you want to see us cover? I always try my best to respond directly or to answer emails here on WRAL News at 7. John hit me with a per my last email. He wrote, I realize the chances of you responding to this email are minimal, just hoping you read my previous email. John, we looked for it. We couldn't find your previous email. Did you send it? Are you sure you hit send? Send it again. Send me your question. We'll get into it. We got a lot of good feedback after our segment on THC-infused drinks, including from a store that sells them. We showed you these pictures here of THC drinks on a shelf at a local store. And the store did one of those Leonardo DiCaprio's where it's like, whoa, 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 I think I see it from, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. They recognized the shelf from their store. Brenda sent me this picture of the THC drink segment amongst the THC drinks. She wrote, just wanted to show you our latest edition. We think it looks nice. What a great email. Thank you so much. And we get so many great emails. Tonight's segment is going to focus on one of them that we got from Bruce. He wrote, why isn't WRAL comparing President Clinton's layoffs to those of President Trump? So, Bruce, that is a good point. Thank you for pointing that out. It is a very interesting comparison. And to be fair, lots of other news outlets have done this coverage. Time Magazine, CBS News, CNN, NPR, AP News, Forbes. They've all done comparisons looking at the differences, the things that are like and not alike between Clinton and the things that Trump is doing. Even Elon Musk pointed this out on X. He posted what Doge is doing is similar to Clinton-Gore policies out of the 1990s. And it is true. 30 years ago, President Bill Clinton made it a priority to give the taxpayer a more efficient government. Those were his words, not mine. There are some similarities. I mean, even the acronyms are pretty similar. Today, you've got the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, and in the 90s, you had Reinventing Government, which they called REGO. It doesn't stop there. The messaging between this White House and that White House sounds almost identical. Just listen to this report that was on WRAL at the time.
Spending cuts to pay for tax cuts, with no new cuts in Medicare and Social Security. I call on Congress to meet that same responsibility in their deliberations.
Over the next several months, we will be looking at every other agency and program, asking the direct question, do we really need this agency? Do we really need this program?
The report then goes on to list all of the different agencies that could see job cuts or be streamlined into a single agency. It all sounds very familiar, doesn't it? I mean, in the end, this effort by the Clinton administration led to 400,000 job cuts, $146 billion in savings. Compare that to DOGE, which claims to have saved $115 billion, and according to an estimate from the New York Times, cut about 100,000 jobs. So yeah, the messaging and the results appear very similar. The big difference, though, is the approach. Trump's program has done all of this in 2 months. Clinton's program lasted 7 years. It started in 1993. The White House called on 400 federal workers to reinvent government. That was their task. They held town halls with workers from every federal agency, asking them what they could do and how it could be improved. It took 9 months to then form a plan and present it to the public. In 1994, that plan started to take shape. They used buyouts to eliminate workers. They passed laws through Congress to reshape agencies, and they did this thing called Hammer Awards, where they recognized federal employees who came up with any significant changes. And yes, they actually did give them a hammer as a trophy. This is what it looked like. It was a $6 hammer in a frame with a red, white, and blue ribbon. It was joined with a letter from President Clinton. This is a photo from the 1996 area of the Defense Contract Audit Agency when they won their Hammer Award. So things appeared to be heading in the direction they wanted them to head in. And here's how Clinton put it in his 1996 State of the Union address.
The era of big government is over.
What was it, though? What is it over? Here we are 30 years later, and efficient government is back on the to-do list. When it comes to this comparison, it's clear that the messaging is pretty similar, but the approach is much different. Should we move quickly, making more change in less time, correcting missteps as we go? Or should we move slowly, considering all the details and maybe risk a couple of opportunities being missed along the way? Look, everything I just laid out, it really only does scratch the surface. This is a huge story. Those other articles I pointed to at the beginning of this segment went into much greater detail. If you're interested, I recommend you go ahead and give those a read. What else do you want us to talk about here on WRAL News at 7 o'clock? What other topics deserve a more in-depth look? Send me an email, dan@WRAL.com. Tell me what's on your mind, and we'll go in depth.
I always love a good history lesson. Thank you for that, Dan. Hey, if you know somebody who's going to be taking off at RDU in the next 30 minutes, they've got a beautiful sunset ahead of them for takeoff, don't they, Kat?
Absolutely. It depends on, I guess, which direction they're taking off at in terms of whether or not you'll be able to see the sunset. But it is a nice little sliver there in the distance. Beautiful evening out there. We have a brief break from the rain, but rain chances are going to ramp back up tonight. It's not going to be a widespread soaking round of rain, but some scattered showers are already making an appearance on the radar again, and we've got about a 40% chance of rain by the time we get to 9, 10, 11 o'clock, and a 30% chance at 8 o'clock. It's Monday. Here's what you need to know for the week ahead. More rain's coming. We've got the chance tonight, and then again tomorrow evening, we'll have the potential for additional showers. We also have the threat for some frost. That would come Thursday morning. As for exactly which cities have the greatest threat right now, it's our usually cooler spots. However, we'll really get those town-by-town numbers out here pretty soon. So stay tuned for updates on the frost threat. The weekend, though, warms right back up. We've got 30s, we've got 80s, we've got it all on our 7-day forecast. A cold front is passing through, and that's why we have some showers moving through the area as we speak. Most of these are in Chatham County, but they're going to approach Wake County here over the next hour. So we're not done with rain chances yet. Have an umbrella if you're headed out to run some errands. But shortly after midnight, rain chances back off. High pressure builds back in. That means tomorrow should be nice and dry during the daytime hours. That's the key here. 8 a.m. we got some sunshine. It's a nice start to the day. 3 o'clock, kids are heading home. The school pickup line, it's still dry. But as we get towards 6, 7, 8 o'clock, we start to see some rain moving in from the west. And this will be with us tomorrow evening and tomorrow night. Bottom line here, if you've got an umbrella in your car still from today, keep it there, keep it in your purse, your kid's backpack. Even though the kids really won't need it during the school day tomorrow, if they do have after-school practices, though, then the umbrellas may be needed. It's a 30% chance of rain by 6 o'clock, and by 9, 10 o'clock, that chance jumps up to about 50% tomorrow. But if you want to do something earlier in the day, it should be pretty nice out. A little cool in the morning, 47 degrees at 8 a.m., but by noon, a great day to head to the playground, 63, upper 60s to lower 70s for highs tomorrow afternoon. Pretty mild out there, 75 in Fayetteville, 75 in Southern Pines, but upper 60s toward Roxborough and South Hill. If you're not a fan of these milder temperatures, just wait until we get to the weekend. We are going to cool off a little bit behind tomorrow's system. It's kind of part 2 of the system that moved through today. We're in the 60s for highs again Wednesday and Thursday behind that front. 37 Thursday morning, but by Friday, temperatures begin to turn around with our southwest wind. 74 Friday, 81 Saturday, and 80 on Sunday. The weekend looks pretty good. I know it's only Monday, but it's something to look forward to always, but especially this time. We lowered rain chances for Sunday down to just 20%.
All right, Kat, you got to wait and see how Kat is doing in our March Madness office bracket. Everybody's got a bracket pool, even us at WRAL. So our one last thing tonight, who's at the top, who's at the bottom of the leaderboard here in the newsroom, and which viewers are beating all of us? It's coming up. One last thing to talk about tonight comes in the form of a question. Is your bracket busted yet? Filling out a perfect one is pretty much impossible, right? But every year, I bet somebody in your pool gets kind of close.
You know, right now here at WRAL, we have a bracket competition going, and Lena Tillett is at the top of the leaderboard. She's a former collegiate athlete. Maybe she's got some inside information. Just something seems fishy. That's all I'm saying. I'm just going to put that out there.
Too, yeah.
All right. She ranks just ahead of Luis Fernandez and Anthony Baglione.
Dan, you and I somewhere in the middle. Technically, you're ahead. You're ahead of me, but only by one game. So don't let your head get too big here.
I'm just glad you brought it up.
A couple of interesting notes here. 9 people in our bracket pool chose Colorado State over Memphis in the first round. The 5 seed upsetting the 12. Not much of an upset in the WRAL bracket pool. Gerald Owens is the only one to lose their champion so far. St. John's lost to Arkansas.
Kat Campbell, which I don't really feel this bad because I think Kat won last year.
Did she?
I think she did. Right now, she's in last place. Sorry to laugh at Kat. My gosh. Only 3. We don't even let her come onto the set to defend herself. Only 3 of her Elite 8 teams are still standing. She did pick BYU to go on a run and still be in it, which they are. Not a lot of people pick that, so that's impressive. We'll give her that.
Yeah, it's all good. Kat doesn't let anything bother her. The WRAL team is going up against viewers over on WRALSportsFan.com, so we got to give some shout-outs here tonight. Brian Lowry, Leslie Compton, and Victoria Vodenichar all tied for first place.
That's good.
Beating everyone in the WRAL newsroom.
Hey, there's a lot of basketball left to go.
There is. I will get ahead of you.
You think so?
I hope so.
A little side bet, maybe? Thanks for making WRAL your choice for local news.
Our next newscast is at 10 on Fox 50 and 11 on WRAL as we leave you with this beautiful sunset. Have a great night.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air channel 34 and Spectrum channel 1257.